Hello everyone. So today's video is about Saturn and what he rules and his indications according to Brihat Parashara Hora Shastra, Jataka Parajata, and Jaimini. Okay, so we will start with the myth of Saturn. Saturn is the illegitimate son of the sun. He's the illegitimate son of the sun, and Chaya, which means shadow. And I mentioned this in my sun video where I talked about the myth of the sun. And Chaya was not the sun's wife. She was a handmaiden pretending to be the sun's wife. So he was actually born from a lie or from a deception. Okay, Saturn was born from a deception. And so he was also born from shadow, and meaning the subconscious or the unconscious. And through the subconscious, we get all of our deep-seated fears and hang-ups, psychological and emotional traumas, all that have not been brought to the surface for light to shine upon them. Okay, this is what Saturn represents in the chart. Saturn can bring dejection and kind of seriousness. It's also a place in the chart where we have most of our emotional unhappiness. Okay, whatever Saturn is touching and whatever house Saturn occupies. Okay, Saturn has no wife and is a neuter planet. So he has equal masculine and feminine qualities. He remains unmarried because he enjoys being alone rather than with company. And Saturn is also the perseverance that gets us through the very trying times of life. That's the good part of Saturn, the perseverance and sticking with something and being able to suffer through something without it killing us. Okay. Okay, Saturn's Sanskrit name is Shani, which means slow. And Saturn is the slowest planet that we can see with the naked eye. And Saturn rules all those things that are slow, like turtles, snails, that type of thing. Saturn is a loner, but he rules over focus and concentration. Another name for him is Prasiddha, which means very accomplished. Okay, a well-disposed Saturn gives the necessary focus and concentration to shun distraction, to get to work, and to do something great. Another name for Saturn is Yama, which is literally the god of death. And Yama means restraint. That's what its etymology, that's exactly what it means in Sanskrit, is restraint. And it's self-restraint that we need to navigate in a world, to navigate through the world and reject distractions that pull us away from our goals. Okay? Saturn rules longevity, and a well-placed Saturn can give a very long life. Saturn has another name, Pangu, and which means lame. So Saturn rules over those who are lame or crippled. Okay? Saturn rules old age, death, but also longevity. And he also rules the eldest brother. Not the eldest sister, but the eldest brother. Saturn makes a person tall and thin, and sometimes he can make someone too thin. And he also gives unusually large teeth. Saturn rules cold and dry climates like the tundra up in Alaska and Canada. Saturn rules time. His Greek name is Kronos, which literally means time. He rules fear and security. Okay. He rules fear of the known and all those things that could possibly go wrong. Rahu rules fear of the unknown, like fear of what's going to happen when we die. But Saturn rules fear of the known, so you want to be secure. Okay. Saturn is always looking for security because he thinks of all of the different things that could go wrong. Okay. So Saturn in a house or conjoined a house cusp will give a need for security in that area of life that the house signifies. Now Saturn causes what Saza Yoga, which is rabbit yoga. That's one of the 5 kingmaker yogas. Just all it is Saturn in an angle or a trine, either exalted or in his own sign. And Saza means rabbit, so it's a rabbit yoga. And that manifests, rabbits are known for their fear, and someone with this yoga in their chart attempts to create security in the house Saturn is influencing, and usually does that very well. They usually do create security very well, okay? Saturn represents loss, and the planets he is influencing will cause delays and loss. Saturn rules sorrow, but also the perseverance to overcome sorrow and depression. The planets and houses that Saturn influences is where we feel a lack or emptiness. So we approach these things with fear, okay? If one perseveres, Saturn will overcome the fear, but he'll still need to work hard to enjoy those things. In the planetary kingdom, Saturn represents menial labor, but labor that is needed to keep society running, such as garbage collectors, housekeepers, septic workers, plumbers, window washers, that kind of thing. Saturn also rules over tedious, boring tasks, but tasks that need to be done if anything great is to be accomplished. He is a servant who does all the hard work. In the body, Saturn rules the musculature system because it's muscles that do the hard work. The Sun is the skeletal system, and as father and son, they work together, even though they are enemies. The complexion of Saturn is dark, so he will give a darker than usual complexion for someone's race. And he will give dark hair and eyes. Saturn is a neuter planet. Like I said before, he has equal proportion of masculine and feminine qualities. And Saturn rules over the air element, which shakes and displaces things. So Saturn rules over devices that serve to shake and separate, kind of like a martini maker or a shaker. The air element provides for the sense of touch, so Saturn rules over the sense of touch, okay? Now, as far as caste goes, Saturn is a Sudra, or someone who is in service to others, usually through their bodily labor. And a person who is a Sudra is concerned with the world of senses and satisfying those senses. Someone who just wants to have good food to eat, a beer when they come home from work, enough money to go out maybe once a week, that kind of thing, okay? Excuse me. Saturn's prime motivation is tamasic, so his motivations are for fear, out of fear and security. Saturn is the body, or Saturn in the body represents snayu. It's called snayu, or that which binds. So Saturn rules over tendons and ligaments that bind the muscles to the bone. And as far as places that Saturn rules places of rubbish, so the landfill, sewer treatment plant, that kind of thing. In the house, Saturn rules the garbage can, the toilet, and the compost bin. For environment, Saturn lives in forested mountains as well as cold, dry places. And a lot of planets live in forested mountains. Saturn, Rahu, Ketu, the Sun, and Mars. So Saturn rules plants that are dried or withered for a certain purpose, like tobacco. And he also rules trees with knots in them or some kind of deformity. Like trees within here in Colorado, we have trees that have beetle kill in them. So Saturn would rule over those trees that are dying from beetle kill. In the family, like I said, Saturn rules the eldest brother. Saturn looks down, just like Rahu. And he does that because he doesn't see all the possibilities. He's depressed. He suffers from depression, and he's got a melancholy nature. It's Saturn's job to merely survive. That's all he does, is just survive through things. Because Saturn is looking down, he can't see what he already has, and because what he already has does not give him happiness. Okay? Saturn is the 7th planet, so he rules over number 7. And Saturn has special planetary aspects along with Jupiter and Mars, as I mentioned in those videos. He aspects 180 degrees from him, like all the planets, which is the 7th house. He also aspects 60 degrees in front of him, so a 3rd house aspect to 100%. And the 3rd house has to do with effort and siblings, and we compete with our siblings for resources. And Saturn is all of the effort that we put into something to improve ourselves or to improve a situation. Saturn also aspects the 240 degree point from his position, which is the 10th house. And the 10th house is one's power and one's influence in the world. Okay? Saturn is related to career because he gives us the perseverance and concentration to make our mark in the world. Okay? To succeed through our hard work and our effort. Okay, yeah, and that's it in Saturn, and I talk about everything that Saturn produces, well, not everything, but most of the important things that he produces through the Varga or divisional charts and through the natal chart, and that's in the manual. Okay, thank you.